Excellent, and welcome to the TED Summit Online Conference. I am really happy to have Karel back. He is, as I said, the original gangster in voice AI. We've been talking about it all the way back to Ecom in 2009. And I, 2009 feels like a blink of an eye, but it feels like another century as well. So it's one of those where it's just far enough where you're trying to remember what was going on, but then so much has happened in between. But Karel, please, I'm really looking forward to your session where you give us an update on what's happening in the world of voice AI. Over to you.
Oh, thank you, Alan. Yeah, it was amazing because you sent me the link to the Ecom conference, and which after so many years still up, and I was browsing through and looking at the names, and yeah, so many of those people we are still talking to, and they are still working in the field.
Yeah.
Even if some did great stuff outside of the field, I was looking at. The maker Ring,
Yes.
who was there doing things around speech understanding. So that's funny.
I know.
But yeah,
Go for it.
it's interesting because we talk about voice AI, but it used to be, we were talking about vocal assistant. Before that, we were talking about, just speech to text plainly. But I think in one of the show we did together, I have shown a video of vocal assistant in the 90s, like
Yes.
96, I think it was, where they were doing, car assistant for some car company. I forget which one. Anyway, so yeah, it's nothing new, but it's been moving, like crazy. And so, what I always thought about boxes is, when we work in the telecom, or I should say the information industry, a lot of data is actually text data.
Yes.
Most of the time, everything that we are working on is textual, and more, it could be visual. But even if you could record data for a long time through, MP3 type of format in a digital form, that data is not understood by the information system. And most of the information that we carry is vocal. We and more, I would say we don't write. Maybe we type a little, but most of the time we speak. And so all of those words, they fly away, and they don't remain in the global system. So
Yes.
my vision being Voxis is how can we catch all that information, how we can make this information useful for companies.
Exactly.
So to do that, first we need to understand, and one of the best way, but no longer the only way, is to transcribe speech into text, and then you can merge that information with company data, and then you can create AI assistant.
Yeah.
So for us, it's being at the start something that was very much telecom focused. I often say that for many years I transported voice. That's kind of the job of a telco. Until I founded Voxis to try to do other stuff. And so I still work with telcos, and we have a partnership with Cisco to deploy some of our tools, mostly around voicemail understanding, but also calls bots, real-time translation. One thing we are working on right now is the accent reduction also, things like that for like telecommunication and calls. And the second vertical that we've been working on last 2 years or something like that now is around the medical field. So here the idea, and it's mostly, I would say, for radiologists who often they are very focused on looking at the IRM, the radio, and so they dictate what they see. So they can be 100% concentrated on what they are looking at. And so we do a capture of that audio, and we then transcribe it, but we actually really go all the way to understanding what's being said. And so we can create fully formatted, organized medical reports. And so now we are doing, over 10,000 reports per month, which is still not enough, but so it's growing. And we do that mostly in French for now. But there is quite some domain, so that's really a growing area.
Yep.
And then the last thing they've been building, and I talked about it a little in the past, but so that's finally coming live in the next few weeks. We should be launching with the Fortune 100 company in the US at the end of the year, beginning of next year. It's what we call implicit knowledge management. And I will talk a little more about that in the next slides.
Excellent.
But so, globally behind that, what we've been building in Vox is really how can we capture information that is coming in very different forms. So, phone calls, dictation, voicemail, but also WebRTC, real-time interviews, and classical, let's say, some text documents, web URL, etc. So
Yep.
you have all that information, and we need to ingest it. We need to make it structured to get the sense of it. And what's funny is, I don't know if the term RAG talked to
Yep.
you, retrieval augmentation generation.
Hmm.
And so when we started working on that platform, RAG wasn't yet a term, but so we were creating RAG without knowing it, let's say.
Yep.
And so it's pretty much what we've done. It's actually something more like what you hear about nowadays also that's becoming a trendy, which is graph RAG. So we not only use a RAG pipeline, but we have a knowledge graph where we
Yep.
organize the information and then we make it available through interfaces. And most of our interface around information is through speech. So how can you talk with your data in a way? And so that's what we've built.
Hmm.
And if I can go to the next slide, yeah,
Yeah.
here we are. So the idea of the platform we've been building is you have experts
Hmm.
that give us documents, and
Yep.
we ingest those documents. So that's a typical, let's say, RAG pipeline.
Hmm.
But as I said, when we started that, it didn't exist. And what's really interesting here is that instead of stopping there, what we build is a system that find out what's the missing piece of information, what's the information that could be there but is not there.
Yep.
And so build on that, we create an interview script. And then we have a vocal AI that's going to talk with the expert and ask him question about his domain of expertise.
Yeah.
And so we capture then the answers from the expert, and then we make it explicit. And so we grow that with the knowledge base until we have, a lot. Oops, my slides is. I think my PC is super slow. So when I click, I have to wait,
Yep.
or it's I don't know. No, it's not moving anymore.
We'll just give it a sec.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, but went back to quite a few slides. Anyway, so we make it explicit, and then that way we can grow the knowledge
Yeah.
and can do things that are more RAG typical, which is search through chat interface, etc.
Yeah.
The information.
Yeah, I think
So
this is very interesting because I was talking to Andre and the work they do in building voice AI agents, and they're sucking emails to find the latest processes, the latest information, so the agent can be current. And I think what you're doing is capturing explicitly all the tacit knowledge. So I think that's very interesting in your approach in clearly identifying this is stated, this is understood, we have it documented here, but then it's all the exceptions, all the in practice when we are, you're capturing it as you position as tacit, but sometimes that tacit knowledge can be vast and it's all the exceptions, and creating an agent that can replicate that can be quite difficult.
yeah, I still have my slides issue, but let's go slowly and surely. Yeah, I think we've talked with a lot of companies Uh, Last week I was at the big AI show in Paris where we had actually Macron that came and a lot of the political people. And what was interesting is many people I've talked to, they could project use cases in that flow, and they had different ideas, but things that made sense in their environment. So, by example, I had a company who said, "Oh, in your case." Actually, what we love to do is, we have people that interact with experts,
Hmm.
but they forget to ask some questions. And so, if you are able to analyze a framework and say, oh, okay, there are pieces of information that's missing, and then tell the agent, oh, you should also ask this and that, and here are the elements that are missing. So, a lot of different use cases. And
Yeah.
globally, the issue of experts retiring is a big issue for all the Fortune 100 company right
Yes.
now because all the baby boomers are going to leave in the coming years.
Oh yeah. Well, if not already left, and
Yeah. I actually, it's sometime it was the company I'm working with. We are like feedback like, oh yeah, somebody is leaving next week. We really need to capture his information before he leaves. So
yeah.
it's really crazy. So to build all of that, we use a lot of different component in speech, and so what's the status of speech AI from my little purview?
Hmm.
And so what I hear a lot is, well, I mean, there is no issue with speech AI anymore. It's a easy problem. It's solved. ASR now the capacity to understand speech is even better than the one from a human. The algorithm are capable of understanding speech even in condition where you as a human would not be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the TTS, the speech synthesis, is so natural that you can't make the difference with the real person anymore.
Hmm.
And you've seen a lot of deepfakes, example,
Yeah.
etc. And one of the remaining issue was they're going real time.
Hmm.
Well, that's now no longer a problem. We have a lot of those models. They work with super low latency, and so it's all fine. Well, I think this is not so simple.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of models that have been benchmarked against data sets that are not real life data sets.
Yeah.
Some of those data sets are just bad in the sense that if you look into the details, they are wrong. So actually, it's even worrying for me to see some company that have very very good error rate on those because that means that if they are so close to the data set, they are making mistakes.
Yeah.
They are making the same mistake that are in the data set. So this is not good. And anyway, a lot of those data sets are not like, we have one which is a lot of people reading books, by example.
Yeah.
Most of the use case that you are going to have, it's not going to be like some person reading books.
Yeah.
And so what we see in real life is ASR is making a lot of mistakes. And our model also, I mean, we are far from being perfect either.
Yeah.
But custom vocabulary. I was talking with a company that say, SAP in our lingo doesn't mean SAP, the German company. It means something like speech analysis processes or whatever. So it doesn't have the same meaning. And a lot of the capacity to understand acronyms and brand names and street names is still very bad for models.
Yes.
And then there is another issue, which is the type of voice. So yeah, it works well with a English person which has a Californian or not too strong of an accent. But as soon as you are going to have a Scottish kid, and if she's a girl on top of that, that's not going to work well. Actually, not even speech, but the other day, my youngest kid, who's 5 year old,
Hmm.
was on a call with his aunt and wanted to wish her a happy birthday. And so he said, "Happy birthday." She said, I didn't hear it. I said, talk a little louder. So he speak a little louder. And she said, "I did not hear it." Then I said, "Hey, speak louder." So he yelled, "Happy birthday to Auntie." And she still did not hear a thing,
Oh,
because what's going on is the noise cancellation of the iPhone seems to be not doing well with this very high pitch
yes.
voice, like a lot of kids, but in this case, it's even higher. And I think the noise cancellation just decided it was noise and took it out. And she did not hear a single word. It didn't go through. So even if ASR do not behave exactly the same way, in a way they do.
Yeah.
So ASR system does some form of noise cancellation, have to identify if that which voice to transcribe when there is several voices, etc.
Yeah.
And typically in the data set that we use to train those models, there is a lack of women, there is a lack of kids, and
Yes.
so again accent, as I mentioned. So
Yeah.
not so sure that it is better than human. Maybe in some cases, but very rarely. And
Exactly.
for the TTS, it's the same thing. It's, oh yeah, it's worked great. Well, you better be an English talker. So now we have great voice that have been built using English, and it sounds French until they have to say something where the model doesn't know how to do it, and then it revert back to English.
Exactly.
So typically, try most of those models to do spellings, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like the third of the letter will be pronounced in English.
Yeah.
Like W in French is W. I think like most of the model, probably all of the model I tried, they will say W. They won't know that they have to say W. And even if they know that it's French, every single word before and after are in
Yeah.
French, but that W in the middle of the sentence, that doesn't fly. And if you try to do that for street names, brand names, again,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
things that have weird spellings that even a French might not be 100% sure how to pronounce. So all of those models are struggling with like those particularities.
Yeah.
And the problem is in real life, what are the typical use cases that you want to have? You want to ask people their name, and names are
Yeah.
typical. Yeah, my name is Bourgois. Most people think it's bourgeois, so they add an E. So I have to say without the E. But if then I pronounce E and not E, and is it a or E or E? Oh, I don't know, because which language is he speaking? It's terrible.
Yeah.
So spellings and address are typical use cases that you have in most callbots, etc.
Yeah.
And a lot of those TTS systems are going to be problematic.
Yeah.
And then real time. Well, yeah, it's more and more we see stuff that works in real time, but at which cost?
Yeah.
So what we see is that a lot of those models, they are very they are over demanding in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah.
So in this case, actually, we do models that can run on CPUs and that are very light compared to a lot of those, and that can still achieve real time.
Hmm.
When you see a lot of models that they achieve real time, but it's brute force, let's say. So it's very costly. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of those companies are actually not making money, because at the price that they are selling their services and the cost of GPU today, I doubt they are making money. And that
Yeah.
brings us to a big question is, I made a little drawing before the call with who are the company in speech AI, and it's been more and more companies playing in the field. So we have the traditional Google, Microsoft, Amazon.
Mhm.
Since then, we have OpenAI with Whisper and
Yep.
some of their speech-to-speech models. But we have a plethora of small startups. Assembly AI, Deepgram, Speechmatics,
Yep.
more known for STT, and they are now starting to do TTS. And on the TS side, we have 11 Labs, which is a
Yep.
unicorn now, and doing also STT nowadays.
Yep.
And just yesterday, we had Gradium, which raised $17 million, and it just started. It's a French startup, actually.
Oh, nice.
Um, and so, a lot of players, and you're wondering, is there room for all of those people? And as I said, when you see a lot of those are running at a loss,
Yep.
how is that going to work?
Yeah.
And the other day, I mean, it wasn't Gradium because Gradium is brand new, so
Yeah.
I don't have exactly the ecosystem map for them. But I was talking about another company, and I was like, how are they launching and raising? Like I think that company had raised 30 million. Um, with no product, no nothing. And I was told, well, they already are making 3 million of revenue. I'm like, there is no. It was a speech agent
Okay.
company, and I'm like, there is no way they're doing 3 million of revenue. I mean, the market is. I mean, I know the market pretty well, and it's
Yeah.
brand new, and there isn't that many. And how can they make 3 million revenue? It's like, well, actually, it's a probably pre-sale credits to startups that are owned by the same VC funds. So, okay, so they
Exactly.
are getting 30 million by the VCs. But to do that, some of the other VC funded company had to buy 3 million from them. So then it create appetite, etc.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you were saying here too, is a lot of those companies, if you look deeper, those crazy amount of money, it just running into circle. And I think that's
Yes.
a big question mark for AI. And I don't know if you've seen this drawing. It was
Yes.
on the Bloomberg a few weeks back,
Yes.
and that I was focusing not on speech AI, but more globally on AI, and more importantly on the NVIDIA and
Exactly.
OpenAI, trying to figure out where is the money coming from and where is it going.
Yes.
And so what you're seeing here is that it is a flow. It's like um, going circle. So
Yes.
you are looking at crazy numbers, and can OpenAI survive in the long term and make enough revenue to justify the valuation that they have today?
Yeah.
It sounds really hard,
Yes.
same for NVIDIA. But if you look at the fact that actually that money isn't really real, it's just like money that they got from somebody and that they send back to that same person through another way, and all of that run into circle. It's actually those numbers are probably much less if you do the subtraction in all the sense. So,
Bless you.
you know, one of the big questions for me is that a bubble or is
Yeah.
that an ecosystem that's growing? And if you look actually at the debt of countries, and it's a big issue right now in France where
Yeah.
we have too much debt, and
Yeah.
I believe it's not a good situation in the US either. But
Yep.
actually,
Correct.
if you look, it's a bad situation everywhere. Every single country is on debt, and you're like, well, how can that happen? And how can they all be in debt? And that means where is the money coming from? Who do they owe money? Well, they owe money to each other, and not only they owe money to each other, they owe money also to their own citizen, but they are borrowing money from the citizen, but they are also lending money to the citizen. And
Yes.
then you can have the same type of arrows that what you have on that drawing, which is, so is it bad? Not not so sure. It might be just that what we're seeing here is the creation of a very tight ecosystem where everybody is relying on everybody. Um, and then the question is like for countries is you just don't want any of the country to default because that's the big mess for everybody else. And
Exactly.
it's going to be the same thing with all of those companies, whether it's speech AI or let's say standard AI. The problem is one of the big one defaults.
Yep.
You will have to see everybody else coming at the rescue because then it's the whole ecosystem that's going down.
Yeah. But then
Um,
I mean, there's confidence until there's no confidence. I remember during the
yeah,
dot-com bust, it went on for longer than any of us thought possible. And then when the crash happened, companies were decimated. I mean, Cisco lost
I,
80% of its value. I mean,
I don't
it,
know if you heard this story about JP Morgan. So that was a long time ago during the first, well, I don't know if it's the first, but during the financial crisis
yes.
in the US, where banks were going down one after the other. And at that
Yep.
time, there was no central bank
Yep.
to bail them up. And JP Morgan invited all the bigger bankers at his house, and he locked them into a room. and throw the key away and said, until you find a way to find the money by tomorrow morning to prevent whatever
Yep.
whoever was the next one. I don't recollect exactly the bank names. And then so yeah, they put the money on the table to make sure that one of them was not going to default, even if nobody wanted to save them. They understood that if he wasn't saved, everybody else. So it's not a new story in a way.
Nope.
You had that already a long time ago. But the
Yep.
numbers now even counting for inflation, those numbers are stratospheric. So
Yes. Exactly. So we'll see. Everybody is, warning. I see so many, FT articles. People talking about where we are and likely scenarios and drawing analogies to the dot-com bust and how companies survived that. Because I always, Cisco survived, but it lost 80% of its value, and it took it 2 decades to get back to where it was. So it's a long 2 decades. You know, so
yeah, no, and that's why I mean on my side, a small little player in the field, what I show you was a lot of very verticalized, precise use cases
exactly.
because I believe in bringing actual value.
Yes.
Just I don't have any offering where I'm not making money.
Yes.
Well, first, I don't have 300 million in the bank to go through in not worrying.
Yeah.
But anyway, if I sell something that I'm not making money, I was raised by people who it doesn't make sense, and it's
Yeah.
like so okay, so you can it works for some time, but then what?
Exactly.
So yeah, in a way, you have the network effect where at some point you are so big and then suddenly you can raise your price, and we've seen that in the past with Microsoft, with probably one of the biggest player in that field of locking you in, killing everybody else by lowering price, and then when you're hooked, suddenly they're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's no longer free, and
Yeah.
it's actually it's even expensive. But
Yep.
but yeah, so it's it can work, but I think for a lot of those companies running with so much negative margin, it's a bet on the fact that yeah, GPU are going to cost less, people willingness to pay will go up, volumes will increase, so even a very small margin will make huge revenues. But yeah, I think for OpenAI now they are at a side where indeed they can function with the super low margin because they have now billions of users. But for now it's still not positive. So how does it get there?
Well, exactly. And in fact, I had my open AI renewal pop up, and I, had to think about, do I want to continue this? It was a hard decision on whether to do that or move over to another model that I was getting relatively cheap because of other purchases I do.
Yeah, but actually, what's interesting? We use a lot of different models internally also for
Yeah.
development, and so we take a lot of subscription, etc. So not subscription is kind of like you have the $20 stuff, you have the 100, 200 stuff, and then you have the pay as you go.
Yeah.
And I've had times where I went into a pay as you go up to $1,000 of buying for specific works that I couldn't get the other to do.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I'm like, if you look at the relative value, that $1,000 would have cost me done by my team maybe 10,000,
Yeah.
and more importantly to us, it would have cost us a lot of time
Yeah.
that we gain. So that's where I'm like, I think right now we still have this issue where it's not those models are not good enough that you can ask for the $1,000 price point
Yes.
because of all the time it doesn't work. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes I get so fed up with asking the question again, trying to find the way to ask the question until he accepts to answer. I mean, I had the other day I had the weirdest experience. It was on ChatGPT actually,
Hmm.
and the latest version is probably very good, but it went to the total full hallucination mode like I used to have with GPT-3. So I was asking a legal question,
Yeah.
so French administrative law. So okay, it's not maybe the core of ChatGPT knowledge, but it went all in. It invented the laws, it invented the articles, it invented everything. And when I told him it was wrong, he will invent why it was okay until he finally gave me the actual article that had nothing to do with my question and say, "Oh, here is the law. If your question was different, then that would be a great answer," kind of. And it's like, yeah, but it's not my question. And at some point, yeah, he was saying, maybe you can't find it because it's you have to pay a subscription to a law magazine so you can see that I am right.
Yes.
And like, no, I don't need to because the law is public and it's not there.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, yeah, at that point, when you go into those dead end, let's say, if you are paying thousands of dollars, you will be very unhappy. If you are
Yes.
paying $20, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not my fault. I will spend more time trying to get it to understand my needs. But the day you get something that's really working, and, I, and the thing is, you have to kind of verticalize it. It's like,
Yes.
okay, so if you want a generic law answer, for the $20, it will answer based on stuff that's correct, but maybe not very precise. Now, if you are a lawyer and you want constitutional level answer, then you pay $1,000.
Yeah.
And then for the lawyer, it's worth it. But it's also worth it for the you and me just asking about a rent contract
Yes.
to pay $20. The problem
Exactly.
now is that because the AI is so broad, it can answer both, and you can't differentiate the billing.
Yes.
Okay, this question is worth a lot. So maybe you do postpaid where like you pay at the end of the month based on how valuable the answer were. It's like, oh, so we decided we give you a lot of very great answers. So this month is 20,000 euro. Oh shit, it was 10 the months before. I
I
used it,
know.
but
Exactly.
it
And
doesn't
then you
make
got the
sense. You
insurance
can.
companies go, oh my God, you use Gen AI. We're not going to insure you. That's your problem now. So it's
Yeah, exactly.
crazy situation where you can see even insurance companies are looking at the risks. And you've highlighted, hallucinations, the stuff you get, is
And
this a,
again, I went back to the LLM type, but in speech AI, we also have that. So once we were benchmarking ourselves again, OpenAI Whisper,
Mhm.
and I got the results, and one file in particular we were really bad, like so far away from Whisper. I'm like, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
Um, so I wanted to look personally, and I listened to. I read OpenAI and I read Earth. I'm like, yeah, we stopped in the middle of the sentence, and so what happened? So maybe there is a lot of noise. So I listened to the actual audio, and actually the guy stopped in the middle of his sentence. OpenAI just hallucinated the end of the sentence, but the hallucination was so good
Yeah.
that you read it, it made total sense.
Yes.
It was there was no way by reading it that you would catch that was wrong. In our case, when we do mistake, most of the time it's you read it, you know that there is a mistake, like the word is not correct, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, or it's not the proper voice. It's you can catch it by reading it. And you know, as I mentioned, I work with medical data. So imagine for a doctor who has done like 25 sometimes 100 meeting in a day, and he has to proofread that the AI is right before
Yeah.
he sign. We all hope that he actually read. But then if the AI hallucinated and it make perfect sense, it's going to be hard for him to remember, oh, but that's not what I said. I remember
Exactly.
I said actually something different
Yes.
because that was like one out of 100 meeting he did in that day.
Yeah.
When he reads something, it's like, well, it makes no sense. So he immediately know it's not, and then he can prove it.
Good.
So I think that's why hallucination is a very tricky, uh, and it made me paranoid because I use AI for a lot of stuff. But every time I know that I have to double check everything. For
Yes.
program, for development, it's not that bad. It's kind of like you run the test, it either work or don't. Now it's not that simple. You hear a lot of people that are saying that down the road, the money that they did not spend in the development phase on human, they end up spending it more on the Q&A because of all the bugs that are hidden in the code. Because
Yes.
it passed the test, but it's actually some corner case that was not in the test. And then you don't know when you run into it because none of us actually read that part of the code. It
Yep.
was done by the AI.
Yep.
So even in this case, it's not so clear. But yeah, for so many other use cases, I think even if we see the hallucination rates going down, um, as long as there is any hallucination, it's dangerous because
Yep.
one out of 1,000 doesn't seem so bad, but when it's one out of 1,000 up to billions of requests made nowadays, what are the chances that one of those hallucinations is really dangerous for some
Correct.
use case?
Yep. No, absolutely. So looking forward, I mean, next year, depending on what hype trading you're riding, we could see artificial general intelligence. We could see OpenAI going public at $1 trillion valuation. I mean, I just look on and I'm incredulous. It's 2020, well, 2026, and we're talking about AGI. I really? Seriously? And then the valuations are, granted, they have done amazing deals. Don't get me wrong, but it all feels, given the reality of where we are, in voice AI. Granted, this is just a little corner of the overall AI pie, but it all feels very precarious at the moment. And as you say,
Yeah, I don't
focus.
believe.
Go for it.
I've seen all those announcements. AGI is in the next corner. So all depend what you call AGI. But I don't believe in 2026 or even in 2027 we will have AGI as I believe in it. Let's say. I think we are going to the point where we'll get those AI to do things that are incredible.
Yeah.
So one of the way of doing things that work is you have more and more control systems. So indeed, is you have an AI that check what an AI did, then
Yes.
it's a third AI that judge if the AI that judge is etc. And
Yeah.
then you compound the like the risk that all of them made a mistake at the same time in the same direction it's much lower.
Yeah.
But that also means that the cost of operating all of those things is going up. That
Yes.
means that the capacity to do real time, speech type of AI is either not there or even more expensive now because you have
Yes.
to put enough power behind.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have this feeling of reaching AGI maybe in the next 2 years or 5 years at max.
Mhm.
But it would be a feeling. It won't be true AGI. It's
Yeah.
going to be all of those super smart AI that work together and make you feel like they are intelligent, but they are smart, not intelligent.
Yes, exactly. No, that's very good. I think that gives us a view of the confusion, but also I would say you know the 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 overriding feeling from people working in this space is hopefulness in that the tools are getting better year after year. I mean, it's not, shall we say, the same rate of change that we've seen through this year, but I think we'll see.
Yeah, I'm confident it's going forward. I mean, honestly, I'm still a little worried about the impact on humans, let's say.
Yep.
Back to the doctor discussion, I was talking with a professor who was saying, it's great, some of those models for analysis of IRMs, they can spot stuff that, is very hard. I can do it because I have 20 years of experience and I can look at it, etc. And now it's my intern can do it too, so that's
Yeah.
great. But how do I train the next generation of intern, because they will
Yes.
never get those 20 years of experience,
Yes.
because that will be done by AI.
Yes.
And even, for developers, so now you hear a lot, it's terrible for the youngest developers because
Yes.
they can't find a job because now AI can do the work of junior. Like,
Yes.
yeah, but how do you get a junior to become a senior if he's never been a junior? And
Exactly.
so the worried answer is, oh, you don't need though, because by the time you will need them to be senior, AI will be doing the job of senior, and then
Exactly.
you
They'll do all
don't
the
need developer. Yeah.
architecture stuff.
So
Don't worry.
yeah, exactly. So at some point, then even if you were not worried about the fact that all of those people that stay on the border is like, how do you get the people that have the sufficient knowledge to oversee all of that AI work
Yeah.
in the next generation? So
Yes.
right now we have people going to school, we have people learning with AI, etc. But in one generation from now, if we get to the point where those super smart, eventually intelligent AI are capable of all what we think they might become capable, what does it mean for the next generation? Who is
Yeah.
going to supervise the AI when we don't have the training, the learning? I was talking with someone saying, instead of leaving school to become a junior, you should stay in school until you become a senior.
Yeah.
And then you go and work, because why a company will hire you as an intern when they can have AI do the job of an intern.
Yep. No, absolutely. It is. It's a very interesting phase. I mean, and it applies to all professions. I mean, I was
Yeah.
over Thanksgiving dinner. One of the people I know, he's doing his degree in electrical engineering, and for him, there's no job because AI can do all the stuff that's required. So, part,
And even like for a garage
yes.
repairman, I just seen a video. I think it was today of a Google. With the Google
Oh,
glasses
yes.
or whatever
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called, and the Google glasses will tell them, here is you need a screwdriver of this, and you push that, and then the AI knew everything about the car, and you're like, well, you still need a human to do it,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
but you
or a
don't.
robot.
First, you could do it with a human who don't have the skill set of a
Yes.
garagist anymore, because you take any human and you just tell him what to do.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow you will have robots doing it, and
Yeah.
you don't need a human at all. So even with those jobs where you were thinking your AI is not going there because they are very manual, you need to interact with. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a wondering. I mean, yeah, I'm positive because I still see all the good it can do,
Yes.
but at the same time, it's going to be a big question mark for a lot of people.
Absolutely. No, big change. But cool. Thank you so much, Karel, for spending the time and sharing what is happening for you in voice AI. And it's been, very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, and looking forward to that again in the future.